Hey, hey, hey. It's another West Coast Wednesday-ish, Welcome back. Welcome to Girl Chat Sports with Mo and Mel. We are back here on a Wednesday. We've got a great guest coming up for you. Mo, week's going good for you?
Yeah, you?
Hey, I can't complain. I know I'm sporting my Bulls t-shirt today because I'm excited about our free agency move so far. Anything is better than what we've been doing. So, hey, maybe, like you said, we were apt possibly losing Zach LaVine if we couldn't make any changes. So I think there was some good changes to have been made to keep him around.
Well, let's hope he stays.
Going.
We got Kobe White, though. And I'm representing my Dodgers because we took an L yesterday against those Astros, but we have another game today. So hopefully we can bring that LA Magic back.
For sure.
They were kind of cutting up yesterday, but hopefully they get some kind
throwing trash cans in the audience.
They were doing a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, the Dodger fans are upset. We don't want cheaters in our building. You know what happens with cheaters, But at the end of the day, we need to have a fair game. And hopefully this series we can just come out tied at least and win tonight. I think tonight's our night.
Yeah. Shout out to Natasha Gransbury, too. I know she's been on this West Coast tour of stadiums. And lucky her, she was there when the Astros beat the Mariners. She was there when the Astros beat the Dodgers.
Yeah, I need her to not come to LA and be in our stadium anymore. I think I need her to just stay back home.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Let us live a little bit, huh?
Right. How is it that she touches down, And then she poses with the man with the asterisk sign, which was cute. I like that. That was a really cute thing, but I don't need you jinxing us either doing that as well. So you stay away from my Dodger fans, girl. But I appreciate you enjoying the stadium. It's a great stadium. Better than an Astros stadium. We're very entertaining in LA. LA is the home of entertainment next to Vegas. It was perfect. Yeah.
Now, are Dodgers fans kind of like Laker fans and they show up like halftime? I mean, do they show up during the third, fourth inning, or do they, how that goes with the Lakers?
The Hollywood Laker team is a totally different team than the Dodger team. Your Dodger fan base is very different from your Laker fan base. It's blessing when you have both of them be equally the same, but Dodger fans stay from the beginning to the end. It's a whole different entity. They're just a totally different look, Yes, and some of them are commonly Lakers fan, but the demographic of the Dodger fan base is totally different at times when I've gone than a Laker fan base.
Ah, okay.
Because you got Clipper fans too that like the Dodgers, you know what I mean? Or you have Laker fans that like the Angels. So it's not like all is kind of meshing well like that. I just happen to be one of those perfect ones that like my Lakers.
That likes everything, of course. Yeah. Why wouldn't you be? Okay. Well,
my dad said they leave the 7th. No, he said he doesn't know. No, we don't leave. They stay. I'm telling you, especially on these night games for Dodgers, it's so late that you kind of want to stay, especially if it's close. If it's one of those blowout series games, then we're going to leave. But if it's coming close down to the wire, they staying. Because everybody got to work the next day, and LA traffic is a bear.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't know if I could do all the traffic for games. That would be a little killer.
Oh, it's coming.
But,
so you're going to see it. Probably not as bad, but we'll probably see it.
I don't know. Anyways, without further ado, let's get our guest on for today. We are super excited to have her on. Welcome to the show, Miss Kelsey Nicole Nelson. All the way out in DC. So we appreciate you for staying up late. It's kind of like how I feel like watching the Olympics lately. It's like you just got to stay up late. Like there's no sleeping right now. So.
Right. We don't sleep anymore, right? We don't get it anymore. But no, it's a pleasure. And honestly, I would have been up anyways. Love the West Coast family. So it's always great to get love in DC, even though it's much later. But thank you both ladies for having me. Excited to do Girl Talk with you all and sports chat. Just have fun tonight. So thank you so much.
Yes. For all the people that maybe aren't aware of you, I know we're aware of you. I know that you've been on some Vegas podcasts out here before, as well as the friends out in St. Louis and a few others. We don't get a chance to kind of catch you on air or on radio necessarily out here on the West Coast. But for those that don't know about you, maybe give us a brief intro as to who you are and where we can find you or listen to you and stuff.
Of course, a pleasure. Well, everyone on the West Coast, please show love to us on the East Coast. Look, you can find all of my shows online, so no excuse for not watching. But I'm Kelsey Nicole Nelson. I am based in Washington, D.C., of course, our nation's capital. And I'm biased. I think the greatest city in the world. But it's great being here, getting to cover our reigning NFC Division East champions. I work with the Washington football team as a digital and broadcast host, where I get to host 2 of Washington's digital shows and 1 of their television shows. Last season was my first season with Washington, and I also work with Fox Sports Radio, where I host my own show, Listen In with K&N, which is a sports talk podcast and radio show based here in DC. And then I do a bunch of freelancing, so working with the Big East Digital Network, covering Georgetown football for DCW 50, and just a bunch of other things. So people basically in this area just know me for kind of being like the DC Sports Authority, which has been great since the DMV is the hometown area. But again, just so excited to be here. I've traveled though and covered sports all over, just a sports fanatic, a sports lover. And I'm lucky that my job now every day is to report on different stories. And so it's been a pleasure and an honor, again, to work in my hometown and covering the hometown teams.
And you did that without breathing.
I know.
I did. It was all
You're fabulous already.
It's
probably going to teach us how to work on that.
Oh my God. Did she even take a breath in that whole intro resumes? I need to get on your level.
That just means I've done it many times, right?
Exactly. And so talk about that, your years of experience, how it all began, like what got the itch in you to just go out there and do everything that you're doing.
Of course. So I always tell people, like, sports found me. So I grew up in a sports family. All of my family were athletes. My mom is the shortest in her family, and she's my height, 5'8". So you can imagine lots of sports on that side. And then my dad, so a lot of my family went to HBCUs. And so my dad went to Grambling State University. I'm daddy's girl. So I grew up going to Bayou Classics. My family's from Mississippi. Anyone from down south knows down south, look, it's football and Jesus, right? Those 2 things, football and church. That's what you do, right? And so that's sort of the world I grew up in. And so sports were always all around me. And again, being a daddy's girl, growing up in Maryland, I grew up going to Ravens training camps in Westminster. I remember getting my first ticket to a professional sports game here in DC, watching the Washington Wizards, watching the Washington Mystics. I just always was around the game. And I played a bunch of sports growing up because I like to be active and I was competitive. So I played volleyball, basketball, soccer, basically anything I could. Tennis, for a while, I thought I'd be Serena Williams, but then found out that was not going to happen. But, just many different things. And that's kind of the great thing about growing up in the DMV area, is that there was everything around. It was just getting access to those opportunities. And so for me, again, I just love being around the game. Went on to University of Maryland, of course, a great sports school, got to intern with the athletics department there and did a bunch of internships in DC. And I also lived briefly in Charlotte working for NASCAR, which was an amazing experience. And then I go to Georgetown grad school. Another great sports school. And like growing up here, we had Hoya paranoia. So I remember, watching Georgetown forever and rocking the Georgetown jacket and hat growing up. So, it's just great to always kind of be around the game. I always love journalism. I always love communicating and talking with people, as you guys are probably finding out now. It's just kind of always a fit. And so kind of combining my first 2 loves, right, of journalism and sports together, and then being able to make a career out of that, which has truly been a blessing.
Yeah, that's great. So your dad's biggest mistake is he went to Grambling instead of going to Southern like me. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. You went to the Bayou Classics. You knew you saw who the better band was.
Oh no,
that side of it. And so, it's all about experiences in life. And to your point with Georgetown,
I have to shout out the world famed Grambling marching band. All right, that's
okay. You can shout them out. That's fine. But I also have to give props to the Southern University Human Jukebox, the best of the land. Okay. So you got to see a lot of different things, and you stayed in one city where you pretty much found your niche of being at home. I also read up on you that you also did a little bit of pageantry, and you've got some accolades with that. I need you to talk about that as well, because you're so poised, you're so eloquent. Like I said, you're talking where you just don't catch your breath, which is amazing. What got you into that as well, from being from such a sports family to go into this other aspect, this total polar opposite of sports, being in the pageant life?
Yeah, of course. I'll tell you, pageantry for me was a challenge, because even though I like naturally talking with people, I had to make sure I found something to kind of step out of my shell and really be comfortable with myself, right? So I kind of hit puberty early in school. I was taller than everybody. I got developed first. I was trying to find myself. And I felt like with pageantry, I kind of was able to find my voice, right? You're stepping out and you're representing yourself. I did modeling, again, stepping out and representing yourself. And I think that's when you truly learn to really love yourself and get confident with yourself. And also for me, public speaking, right? I think people see me now, I think I've always been a natural public speaker. It took practice, and through pageantry, after I did pageantry, I was able to enter oratory contests. That's part of the reason why I was able to pay for the University of Maryland, right? I had a bunch of essay contests and oratory contests. But I love pageantry too, because it really teaches you about sisterhood. And when you kind of grew up a tomboy a bit, it's kind of nice to kind of get that girl talk, right? As we're doing now. And again, just learning what it means to represent people. And then I think also through pageantry, what people don't realize, they always think it's about beauty, but I love the community service aspect of it. Okay. When I graduated high school, I had 2,000 student service learning hours. Like I was really big into giving back. And it's also something that I love doing now, right? Which is why I do a lot of volunteer work, which is why I have a lot of mentees in DC and things like that. And so again, I think the pageantry world, I'm glad it's opening up more. And we're seeing that these women are more than just beautiful women. They're confident, they're role models, and they're everyday heroes, I'd say, in our community, really just doing work to give back, right? Each one, teach one, reach back, give back is something that I preach. And this is why the pageant side of me, again, I can't do it anymore, but I loved it. And I love judging things now. I judge pageant competitions now. I have mentees that are doing it. But again, I think it's about gaining that self-confidence, because I think a lot of times in life, we're on a journey. And through pageantry, I think it helps you to kind of find your voice. And again, find what makes you happy, find what you want to represent, find your platform, what you're passionate about. And then you're able to make a career off of that. So, I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world, even though now maybe it's why I don't like wearing heels as much. I only wear heels when I have to work or going to an event. And other than that, my comfy shoes. But
listen, preach. Especially after this pandemic, my feet are like, what are those? We don't wear those anymore.
Right.
With my slides even now, like beauty up top, comfortable on the bottom, right?
Exactly. You don't know what's happening below here. So.
This is why we love the live stream life, right? People only have to know here up and we're good.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially
so you went to University of Maryland, graduated, went to do NASCAR, which is amazing because NASCAR, I think probably during that time as well, as going through kind of this it's kind of blown up. I mean, when I was growing up, NASCAR was kind of like where all the country people were going to. Like, there was a symbol of the people that, patronized NASCAR. Now it's a lot different. You've got Bubba Wallace in there. You've got other African-American drivers, as well as pit crews, as well as ownership in there. What kind of things did you experience while, working with NASCAR?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I tell people NASCAR was kind of what changed the trajectory of my career. A lot of times in life, we do things that make us comfortable, but I really feel like you find out who you are when you do something that makes you uncomfortable, when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, because you see what you can really challenge yourself with. And much like you, growing up in the DC area and what used to be Chocolate City, I didn't know much about NASCAR. I knew the cars went fast and it was like in Richmond, but that just wasn't a part of my life. And so I saw they had a diversity internship. And again, I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to see something new, right? I wanted to live in someplace different, because I said, if I can succeed there, I can succeed anywhere. And so I did it. I got the internship. I found out 2 days before finals. They're like, you have to come down, come to orientation in Charlotte. I'm like, oh my gosh. All right, let me get through finals and I'll figure this out. I call my parents. I'm like, okay, it's a good opportunity, but if you can make it happen, you're going to have to find housing, etc. But I get down there, again, great. And I'm still friends to this day with my whole NASCAR diversity internship class. So shout out to the class of 2013, amazing individuals. But I learned so much through NASCAR. I was working in a communications department, but I got to do sports talk radio sometimes on air with Chocolate Thunder, who was just an incredible older white man, but that truly gave me a chance. And so I had a voice and a passion and was trying to learn the sport. And so for me, NASCAR, it was white. And you have to remember, again, my family's from the South. So seeing that Confederate flag at races and events, it was hurtful. And it's funny, actually, because I met Bubba Wallace when he was in NASCAR's drive-through diversity program. So this is when Bubba Wallace was much smaller, not a household name. I remember I still have the picture with him when he was first coming up, and people said, he's going to be special. And I will say this about NASCAR. NASCAR has known for a long time that obviously been trying to reach different minorities. We also see this in baseball, trying to reach Black children in baseball, kind of curating that pipeline and really just bringing more diversity to sports. So NASCAR for a while has had a diversity program. Again, I was part of that. And this was back in 2013 through their internship, but also through their drivers. But I think for me, it was a learning curve. When you're I remember my first race, it was the Charlotte 500, being in pit row and being like the Black woman on pit row. You kind of feel those eyes kind of trying to look at you, but not directly look at you. And you kind of stand out. But I will tell you something that I learned, and this is why I learned not to prejudge. And I know it's something that we all have sometimes, is those biases. But people came up and they were some of the nicest and most friendly people that I had ever met. And again, when I saw them, I'm like, all right, I kind of put this shield on, this tough act, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what is about to happen? Back through all of my training and just please don't let anything pop off. But lo and behold, it was kind of the opposite experience. And I feel like I just was able to learn a lot about the culture of NASCAR, learn that it is more than people driving fast in a car. And really that culture of NASCAR, those fans, they are diehards. And again, you have some people that don't want to change, and that's in every culture, but you do have NASCAR fans that are looking to expand. And I think NASCAR sees they're kind of getting with the program. I just saw the promo they did with Alvin Kamara. I absolutely love that. And you see them reaching in. I saw Saweetie do one of the fast track for them. They're trying to get into the culture more, which I think is important, because again, America's changing, right?
Right.
More diverse, which I think is a positive thing. And it's sports leagues need to get with that program. NASCAR having to talk about racism. right? And the whole thing with Bubba Wallace. I mean, these are real conversations that we're having. But again, I think NASCAR was, again, a great experience. Living in Charlotte. Charlotte is one of my favorite cities of all time. I absolutely love living there. Their culture is great. Their little bar scene is great. And you see, I mean, literally we went go-kart racing and you have 3-year-olds beating you because they're preparing to be the next NASCAR drivers. But this is what you learn, you know, through that experience. But again, through NASCAR, I just learned that I could do something that I had never done before, something that I hadn't studied or tried, but I tried it. It went well. And now it's something that I'm just glad to have on my resume. And I'm still able to talk about, you know, NASCAR as a sport, talk about the drivers that they're doing, talk about how they've been reaching out to, I mean, Brianna, their first Black tire changer. I was interviewing her when she came from an HBCU, right?
Shout out.
And yes, shout out to HBCUs. Somebody else that, again, NASCAR's had this program for a while where they have been trying to reach out to HBCUs to diversify the sport. And so if you really look at the pit crews, and I don't know if people know this about NASCAR pit crews, but they have like NFL type combines to be those guys, those tire changers.
I would think you would need to be. Yeah. I mean, that kind of exertion and the speed is ridiculous.
It seemed like it would be a competition, like who could change the tire the fastest. Who can get them out there on the because the way they are in real time, they're doing it like it's a race.
You gotta be quick.
You gotta be quick. Yeah,
like this. It's a second thing, and you see these guys going through the program, and then of course coming from DC, also Joe Gibbs was down at NASCAR.
Nice.
So was NASCAR when I was there. So great to see that. But again, they're trying. I mean, and it's not to say that it's moving fast enough, but they have started to kind of put those seeds in. And again, I think I'm a living, breathing example of that, because if you had told me when I was 7 years old that Kelsey Nicole Nelson, a Black girl from Georgetown, would have worked from NASCAR, I would have just looked at you like you were crazy. But lo and behold, this is why life is fun. Again, it's a journey and you never know where it's going to take you. And that NASCAR experience, I will forever cherish. And again, I'm just glad to see the sport continue to grow.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Because we have NASCAR competitions out here. And I've always been, as a Black person, been hesitant on going just for the simple fact of that stereotype of it being from the South and seeing the Confederate flags and having that kind of be the thing. And you kind of tense up when you do see it. Even if I see it on somebody's truck, I'm still like, oh my God.
Right.
Especially being as far west as you are, you're thinking it's more progressive, but it's crazy that it's not. So I had to commend them on that for supporting Bubba for being behind his car when he took his first lap. I mean, that brought tears to my eyes when I saw that moment. How did you feel when that moment happened?
Oh my gosh. I will tell you. So a couple things. For one, I want to shout out Eric Moses. He's president of the Nashville racetrack. He's actually used to work here in DC. He's Nashville's first Black track manager for NASCAR, right? He's over a racetrack. I don't think people realize how significant and how huge that is. But going back to Bubba Wallace, I thought, when we saw Bubba Wallace racing again, for a sport that for a long time, I think many African Americans felt like excluded them, to finally feel like we had somebody that represent us, that was there for us, it meant that little boys out there could see themselves in him. It was a very special moment, right? Because it, again, shows the growth and progress that we're. And then I just thought about the other doors that it would open. And now we do see more Black drivers in NASCAR. They also have a large amount of Latino drivers in their drive-through diversity program. So look, progress is coming and times are changing. But I think like you, I got emotional. I don't consider myself an emotional person, but seeing Bubba Wallace in that spot, I just knew what it represented and what it meant and really how it would be a moment in time, right? A moment in history. And this is what Bubba Wallace has done. And even the whole incident with the noose, and yes, it was a noose. I think, again, it made us have conversations in America that America doesn't always want to have, right? And we've needed to have these conversations for a long time. Race and sports go hand in hand. This is why at the University of Maryland, I was an African-American studies major and a journalism major. Again, they go hand in hand while also studying public policy, because politics also plays into that. And it's crazy sometimes, but I don't think people realize, again, how everything kind of overlaps. I love the hashtag on your show, Black Lives Matter. They do matter. And in sports, it's crazy because in so many sports, we see a large amount of Black players playing the sports and bringing in the money. But then when it comes to the top levels, you don't see as many Black people in leadership positions, right? And then when these issues come, all of a sudden it's, well, no, just shut up and dribble. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean, right? So it's all of these different things that kind of came to the forefront. And I think Bubba Wallace kind of being the face of NASCAR, especially for the Black community, is huge. And I'd say really for minorities is huge because, again, it shows little kids out there that they can actually attain this. Seeing is truly believing. That's kind of why I did want to get into sports reporting. I didn't see enough people that look like me. I wanted more melanin on TV, right? And kind of to be able to see that. You forget that, but when you have somebody reach out to you and say, my daughter watched you on NBC Sports Washington, and thank you so much, for being a Black female talking sports. That means a lot. it means a lot. And I don't even know if Bubba Wallace knows like just his impact, but he's really helped to change NASCAR, I'd say, for the better in the lives of many minorities and the way that they maybe can accept the sport. I've had more people reach out to me in the past 2 years saying they're interested in going to a NASCAR race or they went to a NASCAR race. That's huge. That's huge. Again, the growth, because they've been trying to change their kind of profile of a typical NASCAR fan to kind of more so reach the modern American, right? And where America is going. So Bubba Wallace, again, he stood up in the face of adversity. I think it's important. I think we're seeing this with Simone Biles now too, in the Olympics and the adversity that she's had to stand up for and face. But it means a lot. And again, they don't know all the doors that they're opening for others. I took a breath in that one. I hope you noticed.
I did notice. I was still engrossed.
We're going to have the Kelsey Nicole Nelson School of Speaking without taking a breath pretty soon.
I just was so engrossed in what you had to say, because everything you said, you hit the nail on the head, is how I feel, and agree with you wholeheartedly. I think there's still a lot of work to be done, but this is a great giant leap. And I have to commend NASCAR just personally, because they didn't tinker around with toying with the fact, oh, let's support. They went full blast. We're supporting, hands down, no questions. We are with this. This is what we wanted. We're doing this. And a lot of other pro sports are still kind of going in circles, figuring out what's the right thing to do. What's the right thing to say, playing around, where NASCAR just really just went forward, attacked it. And it just was, like I said, very emotional and great.
They had all of the old school drivers like Dale Earnhart Jr., like all these old school guys were right Tom behind him in the line. It was huge.
Yeah. I mean, Richard Petty. Yeah, Richard Petty. Like, to see all of that is just crazy, you know?
Yeah. And I say, when you're standing up for something in the face of adversity, and you really see who your allies are and who your advocates are. And there is a difference between allies and advocates. And I think with the NASCAR drivers, we saw true advocates supporting. We also saw some allies, but again, that was important, because when you saw that solidarity, it's always stronger, right? It's kind of like your hand. You're much stronger using your whole hand than one finger. There's a reason for that, right? And so when together, I thought we saw their impact. It was important. And then it's also important that you have people from different races, I think, joining forces as well. Again, to show that this is not just one issue or a Black issue or a white issue, but it's an American issue that we need to address together. Absolutely. So that's so important. And I'm so happy that they stood up to that and they faced the questions with Bubba. And I know he appreciated that. And again, it speaks volumes to the sport, and it means it can move forward in a positive direction and welcome in new fans.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Absolutely.
So, not to change all of the topic completely, but you left Georgetown, and then you started listening with Kelsey Nicole, but KNNN. Yeah. So how did that come about? And now it's become like this huge, I mean, it's a big thing now. And it's, you brought it so far. What is it that kind of got you into that world? I know you also kind of work and help with younger people in regards to podcasting and stuff like that. So what got you started, and kind of tell us about the show?
Of course, my pleasure. So yes, listening with KNN is truly my baby. Have no kids, but that's my baby right now that I'm nurturing and growing. And I'm actually so excited because I just welcomed on 3 new interns to intern with me this fall semester with the show. But I'll tell you all, listening with KNN came because I was getting some opportunities in DC to do freelance. And look, I started covering high school sports and community access television, but I saw the DC sports media. And again, I didn't see enough people that looked like me. And I wanted to create a space and a platform. I wasn't getting the opportunities that I wanted. And I'm somebody when I didn't have anything. My parents said, hey, you have to make a way. So look, growing up, I didn't have a car, but if I had to get somewhere, we called it the BMW in the DMV. You bus, metro, or you walk there. We found a way to get there. So for me, it was finding a way to get my voice on sports talk radio. So I said, hey, let me create my own platform. And I'll tell you, I had people that told me for a while, like, Kelsey, you need to do something. You have so much to say. You just need the platform to do it. You don't need to wait to be invited to the table. It's kind of like make your own table. So lo and behold, that's when I created Listening with KNN. It's called that because I really want people each show to really listen in with me and see what they're talking about. You're essentially eavesdropping in on the conversation. And, it started with, and I'll tell you, I had some connects early on because, again, I did a bunch of internships. So my first guest was Brian Mitchell, of course, former Washington football player, and started with that. I did a live golf event, and then it kind of just grew. So I'm very involved in many sports organizations. And so I started reaching out to people that I know. And lo and behold, now I haven't even had a repeat guest just because the guests keep coming. So for instance, tomorrow, Sharif Abdul Rahim is joining me. And then I also have a show with Ezekiel Elliott's dad, Stacey
Nice.
Elliott. We're doing this before the Hall of Fame game, as well as Sean Allen, who is the father of Marcus Allen of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it's amazing. I just had Dawn Harper Nelson on, of course, a former Olympic medalist. I mean, it's crazy what it's grown into. And I'll tell you, during COVID, it was really when the show kind of went like this. It exploded because during COVID, I was just doing the audio versions of the show. And then what we're doing, people wanted to watch. People wanted something to watch. They miss live sports. Kelsey, we want to see your guests. You're having these guests on. So I started the live stream show, and lo and behold, it just continued to grow. I had Amari Stoudemire on, had Kurt Angle on. Like, it's just kind of like when people come on and enjoy your show, they told other people. And next thing I know, I started with my show, reaching out to guests, where now it's great because every time I open my email, it's somebody pitching a guest to me. And that's the best feeling in the world, again, when you're able to create your own platform, your own show, and still get top tier guests and people that want to join you, loyal and faithful following. And I have an amazing team. And so I've just been truly blessed. Again, I have audio and live stream versions of my show. It's really become something that has been a heavy undertaking. So I'm so thankful for my team for being there. But again, it's great to have a place for my voice and just showing that people have a demand for it. And, just showing that we can have real conversations. You all know that sometimes in media, you don't always get to have the conversations that you want to have. But on that show, we have that authentic, candid conversations that needed to be had. Jeff Jackson, I recently had him, of course, a former first round pick in the MLB. And we just had a real conversation about his baseball career, right? And he was saying, it was so different when he got drafted. So he said, when he got drafted, he was basically done with baseball in that moment in time, just because, it was such a transition change going from Chicago to Martinsville, Virginia, which is so different, literally complete polar opposites of each other, not having that support, even your own teammates hating on you, right? Because you got drafted higher and just not having your back. But again, these are the conversations that we're having on the show. We talk about concussions, we talk about racism in sports and things like that. And so I'm just thankful to have a platform. I'm glad the show is on Fox Sports Radio, and I guess people like it because I'm still here and it's still going, which is exciting, going to events and games and covering things like that. But that's what I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to start something for yourself. And because of that, now a lot of people know me from that. And I've gotten opportunities from, again, starting something that was my own voice. I didn't see an opportunity for myself that I wanted. And I wanted to change the sports media landscape of DC, right? DC as nation's capital, it should be diverse voices in sports media. And I think it should be representative of the country. And so, I said, hey, if I'm not getting opportunity, I'm going to create it. And lo and behold, I did. And now it's also great to just be able to go on shows. And that's the first thing people don't care about my other stuff now. They're like, she's a listening with K&N host. And that to me is so humbling, just again, because it started as a concept paper. And it's now just kind of blown up into what it is. I have merchandise now, like, even thought that, like, this is the things that happen sometimes when you have a dream, but you have an action plan behind it. And that's exactly what Listening with K&N is. So I appreciate you shouting that out. I hope everyone tunes in. Again, just great shows every week that we're able to have former players, current players, women's sports, like all backgrounds we do. And again, just a real conversation. I tell that to all the PR and the athletes, like, I don't even have a topic list. Like, we're just going to kind of go where the conversation takes us. It's raw. It's authentic. It's unfiltered. Yeah. People want to ask them, please don't curse because it's a family show. But, other than that, it's just great. It's just great. And those are the most authentic conversations you have. And then I'll also say somebody that really helped to blow up my podcast was my interview with LeVar Ball. Like, that interview.
Oh, nice.
I had LeVar Ball for an hour. Literally.
That would blow everybody. That's the guy that anybody wants to stay tuned, because the number one reason as to why is we don't know what he's going to say.
And that's what happened. And again,
we don't know what he's going to say.
Full hour.
Yeah, full hour for, we don't know what he's going to say.
And it was so funny. I'll tell you all, because at the end of the show, I cut him off after an hour, because usually I go for an hour max. And you're lucky, right? If people are able to join the full hour. And then my sports director calls me right after, like, Kelsey, why'd you hang up? He was ready to talk another hour with you. I was like, what do you mean? It's an hour show. He's like, you should have kept him on. That could have been like a 2-hour show. But again, LeVar, great content. And I'm thankful for him, right? Because he doesn't go on just anyone's show. And again, he was open with me and real with me. And we just had a real conversation. We talked about Black fatherhood. We talked about his brand building, Black business opportunities. And again, just the belief he had in his sons. He gets flack for it, but other parents sometimes get praised for it, right? So we just, again, had a real conversation. He came on the show and we were just candid. And it was a great opportunity. And I'm thankful for it, again, because it kind of helped people get to know more about my show, just see kind of more my interview style and, who I was.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best part is
great.
just speaking organically and having those interactions with people where it's not pre-planned, it's not edited. You're not having to like go back and no, we're just gonna keep, whether you mess up or not, whether you're joking or laughing at something. I mean, you're just gonna keep on rolling. That's what makes, I think, just any kind of interviewing better. So that's amazing.
It just has to come natural. It's just us having a conversation. We're just chatting. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
The thing of it is
we never met.
Yeah. Yeah, like be as informal as often. So with all your accolades and what you do you have any free time, girl? And if you do, what is your favorite pastime of what you do?
Oh my gosh, so that is a great question. So I got to be real because I know my friends are going to watch the show. I am that friend that says I can come to happy hour, but that doesn't come because something comes up because I'm busy. I'm just going to put it out there. So I am the one that's literally work. But I'll tell you, in my free time, I think I'm so simple. Like, I love movies when I can. I'll tell you guys how busy I am. Like, I think I'm on season 2 of Power now. And everyone's
you got to catch up.
On season 2. And it's so funny because
there's more books now and everything. Like, there's other spin-offs.
When I'm still on Power, but I've been busy. I started watching Manifest, but I'll tell you, like, I love watching movies and shows. I actually miss reading. It's something I want to get back to. But I think I'm just simple. Of course, like, I like watching sports when I'm actually not covering sports. I think sometimes people are like, wait, you don't get to get separate from your job. And I'm like, when you're a sports fan, you're a sports fan, right? So whether I'm covering it or watching it, I was watching The Last Dance just like everybody else, in front of my TV with my popcorn and my pajamas, just excited, right, about every single episode. But I'd say that's probably it. I like being active though. When I can, I still like to hoop. The place I just moved to in DC, there's a basketball court nearby me. So I absolutely love that. So soon I'll be playing a good pickup game, but I'm simple. I like spending time with family and things like that. But yeah, I'm definitely not the person that you'll see out because I work a lot, but you should have a balance. And I'm working on that myself, right? Because mental health is very important.
Right.
I put that out there. So you do have to find, again, just time for you. So I do try to take an hour at least out of my day where I'm just like relaxing, whether I'm cooking or watching a show, which is time for me. I put my phone down, put it on silent, and it's just me time, right? And time for me to reflect and really get to know myself.
So speaking off the record, we know you from the DMV and you are a sports fan. You grew up watching sports and being at sports. Can you let us know who your teams are?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So again, I'm a homer. I am a homer. So Washington Wizards, I have been there from the beginning. Look, we're going through a tough time right now. We lost Russ, but it will be okay, all right? We got Spencer Dinwiddie, and look, the future will hold. Bradley Bill, stop dropping these emojis and scaring us and giving us hard. Definitely a Washington Wizards fan. Also love the Washington Mystics. Grew up going to games. I remember watching Elena Beard and Coco Miller. So I've been a fan of the WNBA since the beginning, right? Baltimore Ravens. So it's funny because I work for the Washington football team, but I put this disclaimer out there because I grew up in Maryland. Baltimore is in Maryland. And then also, again, going back to my dad and HBCUs, as you all know, Washington was the last team to integrate. So growing up, and this is what I always have to explain to people, the reason why we have a lot of Cowboys fans in Washington, a lot of African-American Cowboys fans, is because of that fact and because of that reason, right? So growing up, grew up a Ravens fan. And of course, what a team, right? I remember that 2000 Ravens defense, again, going to training camps. Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, growing up in that world was just truly incredible and truly amazing. But again, I like Maryland. I like Georgetown. People always ask me which one of the two I like better. I'm going with my undergrad, of course, even though, again, Georgetown games growing up, but even Maryland, let's be real, Cole Fieldhouse and all the good memories that were there. And even now the Xfinity Center, again, just great. So I love the college teams here. I love the pro teams here for baseball, Orioles. Yes, people always are like, and it's funny, I will say the DMV is very interesting because it's the one place where there's a lot of people will go for the Washington teams, even if they grew up in Maryland. But again, we're kind of lumped together. So that's why we see, you don't say you're from DC anymore. You say you're from the DMV, because I tell people all the time, you're usually in all 3 or 2 states, in one municipality in the full day. So that's why you say you grew up there, because you really did grow up in all the areas. But yeah, I love all the home teams, but I also love the Lakers. So I do have some West Coast love. Of course, who didn't love the Lakers?
Right, of course.
I haven't, ever, never will.
She's a Laker hater, but she always obsesses about our team. She obsesses about our team low key, though, Kelsey. Don't even worry about that. She does. But yeah. You have to love the LA teams. You gotta love the teams where you saw the progression of a more majority of Black athletes, and I think that's why a lot of people were Cowboy fans too, to see that too. Michael Irving's and all that. You saw that more than any other team ever in that time of the '80s. So I get it. But to have the Ravens, which were formerly the Cleveland Browns until that city petitioned, I have to. It's crazy to see. And I also want to ask too your thoughts on Ray Lewis, because he has said some things, being the Ravens, kind of the Baltimore hometown hero to a certain degree, and then kind of went off kilter with some of the stuff that he said. What's the city's vibe on him right now? What's your vibe personally on him?
Of course. So I will tell you, I mean, Baltimore loves Ray Lewis. There's a reason why that statue sits outside of M&T Bank Stadium. He was a vocal leader for that team all of the years that he gave to Baltimore. And, we're in an era, we're talking about players staying, loyal to their teams. Mm-hmm. Ray Lewis was one that did stay loyal to Baltimore, and I think gave his all to Baltimore and made so many players better. So many guys reference him, the heart and beat and soul of that defense. And if you know Ravens football, you know that defense matters, and defense was very important in terms of a lot of their success, right? And this is why it's funny now in Washington. I love it because now we're not only talking about defense in Baltimore, we're talking about defense in Washington. But of course, I know we'll probably talk about that later. But all that to say, I think Ray Lewis, again, I know some people will say, his past and some of the things he says, but I think from a football aspect and standpoint, people love him in this area. I think they won't ever forget him. I think he always knows he can call Baltimore home, but I will also tell you, they still love Terrell Suggs. They still love Ray Lewis. I think those guys, that little trio together, I mean, it's home. It's home. But I'll tell you, it was so special when they built that statue. People said about time because, again, so many players Ray Lewis made better. And it wasn't just on the defensive side, but also on the offensive side. And that squirrel dance, everyone in the stadium been doing it with Ray. And it's become a part of football, right? Like teams will come and try to taunt the Ravens with it. And so I think, Ray will, again, he has his own thoughts and opinions. And I think, sometimes you have some people who are able to separate that from the football player that someone was. But at the same time, I think, Baltimore, again, is just thankful for his contributions. And Baltimore has achieved success. Like you said, the Baltimore franchise, you think about Cleveland Browns. We don't want to talk about the Mayflower truck leaving in the middle of the night because it still brings back hurtful memories to many in Baltimore. But all that to say, I think the success that the franchise has had so early on, and even now in this John Harbaugh era, people are excited about it. And again, I think Ray is still loved. And again, he knows if he comes here, he still gets the red carpet. He still gets the golden treatment. They love him. Yeah. Jones is another one. When he comes back, people love Jacoby Jones in Baltimore. And I will say Baltimore is kind of its own municipality. So I don't know if people also know this if you're not from the area. So most people don't consider Baltimore in the DMV. They're really like its own. Baltimore is like its own little section. And so when you play a Baltimore sport, people will love you forever in Baltimore, right? If you give your all and you play hard. And that's what Ray Lewis is. So Ray knows he can always call home. He can always call home.
So switching over, as of last year, you started working with the Washington football team. First of all, how hard has it been for you to not mention the other name?
Look, at first it was hard because, again, growing up here, it's burgundy and gold everywhere, and it was our word country before, right? But for me, I think, I just had to practice it because, again, I can't sit here and one side talk about, issues that affect minorities while also saying this team name. So for me, it was kind of a quicker transition, but again, it's always in the back of your head. And then I'll hear other people say it and I'm like, oh my gosh, but they just said it, and trying to get it out. So it was, at first it was hard because, again, you just grew up with it. And again, like when I say DC loves their football team, it was just Washington stuff everywhere. So I've gotten better. I haven't had any missteps lately, but when it first happened, probably those first 3 weeks,
Oh, for sure. I know. I've messed it up a couple of times. And my dad used to be a huge Redskins fan because I have cousins out in the Delaware DMV area, and so he always grew up. We went to DC when I was in 4th grade, and it was like Reds. Well, it was that name. See, I'm already messing up already.
But I'm practicing on Cleveland right now. I mean, I still
another one. You got to start calling
like Guardians. I got to keep saying Guardians.
So, do you think that this name will stick around, or are they actively planning to try and have a formal name eventually, or is this going to be it?
Yeah. So this is a question that literally I'll get so many DMs about. So if you work for the team, what's the name going to be? And I'm like, I wish I knew. But I will say in this process, so many fans submitted so many submissions for names, theme songs, and everything you can think of. The fans really wanted to be a part of this process. And I will say Washington is putting all of this into consideration. But of course, there's also the legal matters and trademark matters. There have been some problems with that and issues with that. And, at one point you think there's so many names. When you start to look through trademarks, you're like, oh man, this is taken, that's taken, that's taken, and you have to protect that part. And, I think, the thing with Washington is they want to get it right. And I respect that. You mentioned Cleveland. I'm sure people would have loved to be more involved with that naming process. You have to remember in DC, when we named our G League team, the Go-Go, I think many DC natives were actually happy because the team name actually symbolize DC culture, DC music.
Go music, yeah.
Even the Wizards name. The Wizards name was picked by fans, if you know about DC sports history. And so I think it's important to get it right again. DC, as much as it's a sports town, it's also a political town. So there's a lot of eyes on Washington to get this right. You have a new team president that has to get this right. And so I think in 2022, he said, we'll have our brand new name. I do think some people actually the Washington football team now, I'm just going to tell you all, it's sticking with some fans. It really just is. As long as the burgundy and gold are still there, people are happy in DC, right? We love our colors. We love our team. And especially because the team is achieving success, I think people are happy about that. I will say DC natives want something that symbolizes the area. Again, kind of like the Go-Go did. So something that really talks to DC. But it's going to be hard for a name because let's just be honest. No matter what name they pick, someone's not going to be happy. Just someone's not going to be happy.
You can't please everybody. You
can't please everyone. And so I think, I co-host a show with Fred Smoot. He's been preaching the Red Wolves. We have like the howling stuff that be going on with fans that some fans really want to see. But I think, some people I will say, people do like a name with the R word, just because any R word I'm talking about, just because they kind of want to keep that hashtag HTTR. But it will be interesting to see. I will say I have no insight. I wish I did for fans, because if I did, I would give it to you all. But I wouldn't be surprised if it might stay Washington football team. But if not, again, the name that they picked, I will say that they will do their due diligence in picking, which I think will mean a lot to fans, because they didn't quickly just get something. It won't be a Band-Aid, but they're really looking for something that can be a fixture for a long time in the DC community to really embrace this football team.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all for it. I just was curious. I'm like, is it going to be like this forever? I mean, it's getting used to us. Then if they switch, or we get switching it up, now I have to remember it again. But talk about the team though, and talk about the NFC East first of all, because I know we've all realized that the NFC East is one of the, I guess, the little brothers in the divisions these days. Some of them are barely making it.
People were meaner.
I mean, if you were a Cowboys fan, I'd probably be meaner. If you covered the Cowboys, I'd probably say a lot more. But because I do like the Washington football team, and I do like the area, then I am pretty nice with them. But you got Fitzmagic coming in as quarterback.
Yeah.
Chase Young is still there, coming on another year. So what is it? What's the sense? What's the vibe for the Washington football team this season? Are we going to expect another division championship? I mean, we can all tell the division's getting a little bit tougher maybe for you guys, but my thing is, can somebody win the division and be clearly over 500?
Yeah. Well, look, that's what we want. And look, I will tell you, the culture is so different in Washington since Ron Rivera came on board. And of course, we all know his story, battling and beating cancer last season, and what Washington did after all of the quarterback changes. We had Dwayne Haskins and that whole saga, of course, wishing him the best in Pittsburgh with that situation. We know the whole Project 11 and Alex Smith's story. And there's always been for a while questions with Washington. Like, Washington is a franchise that has had its fair share of quarterbacks. And I'll tell you, the last thing that people were truly excited about this team, you have to go back to the RG3 era. And then, of course, when we had some success with Kirk Cousins and saying you like that, right, in Washington. So all that to say, I feel like finally now people believe in Chase Young. We love our hometown people in this area. I'm just going to be real with you all. So that's why we wanted Dwayne to succeed. He had roots to Montgomery County, Maryland. And this is why so many fans were just kind of hurt when that relationship didn't go as planned. But with Chase Young, to see a hometown kid that we watched growing up, to see him achieve the success that he did, the reigning defensive rookie of the year. And then again, Washington, we're talking about defense. It meant a lot. And I think all of the obstacles that Washington had, even before the season started with Off the Field Matters, for them to do what they did and battling all that they battled, it was very special. And the fans, I think, really tacked on this new front office leadership the fans have brought into. I have felt so welcome with Washington and the fans. My boss, Julie Donaldson, her being a trailblazer in her own right, the first woman in an NFL broadcast booth, it speaks a lot of volumes. So I think when you see all of these things kind of off the field colliding with the goodness on the field, and then winning the NFC East, it meant a lot. Taylor Heineke giving Brady a run for his money. Like, who could have thought about that? So Washington, I will say, again, the fans have really saw a team that who all the odds were stacked against, they made it work. And this is why Washington's riding high. They're like, look, they're saying, hey, the NFC, look, it's open. Again, with Fitzpatrick, and I'll tell you, people like Fitzy, right? We know he's been a journeyman a long time, but we feel like, this seems like a good fit. He has wide receivers galore that can make him look really good. We're hoping he can use that arm strength to get the ball down the field. That's something that Washington has wanted to do, opening up the football field. And of course, the defensive side, nobody's worried about that defensive front because they're coming for you, quarterbacks. All right, they're coming for you. So offenses aren't planning for that. So I feel like Washington is kind of having this kind of wholeness come around. The rookies that stepped up last year, you look at Antonio Gibson, you look at Cam Curl. I mean, again, I feel like it was bittersweet in Washington because, again, all the kind of the trials and tribulations that the team went through. But last year, they really did play for Ron. They played for Ron. They knew what Ron went through. And he has come in and changed the complete culture in Washington. Again, the new leadership has changed the complete culture in Washington. Because for a long time, fans just said, hey, forget it. Like, we saw tickets and we saw season ticket holders kind of step away. I remember at one point in Washington before last year, a couple years ago, you could go to a Washington game for like $4 or $5 on StubHub, StubHub. I mean, it was that bad at a point. Yeah. You go to last year, the team to transition the way they did when nobody believed, when everybody was laughing at the NFC East. Washington put people on notice, and that meant a lot. And I'll tell you what, this is why training camp has been packed. This is why people are getting their tickets like crazy, because people finally believe in Washington. We're trying to go to those glory days in Washington, the Hog days, right? The Joe Gibbs era in Washington. And I think people are like, Ron Rivera is the right man for the job. People have brought on to him. And I'll tell you, I haven't seen people in Washington love a coach this much since Joe Gibbs era. That speaks a lot.
Great. That does.
That's
and
great.
He's actually I really liked him even when he was in with the Panthers too. I mean, for reasons they had to. I knew he would be good for this program. Yeah. And it looks like from the way you're describing, it's going to pay off.
I hope so. Again, people believe. The players believe in him again, and you can see they're playing for him. And I think if Washington can get through this kind of COVID thing that they're trying to get through right now, we're looking at that COVID list again, thinking about Ron Rivera's health. I think if they can keep healthy, they're a team again. We talked about the NFC East. All right, Dak is back. We respect that. They got hard knocks and stuff, but Washington's not scared. And Dak's offensive line, if they protect him well, okay, good. But Dallas's defense, can they stand up with Washington's? And I think people really think, last year I said it was the Eagles' division to lose. And of course, nobody could predict what would happen with Philly last season. Everything that
Philly's cursed, I think. Oh my gosh.
But this year,
they go through it.
Tends to lose, because again, the expectations are riding high with them. In Philadelphia still, they have a lot of questions to answer. Hope Jalen Hurts, I hope he has a good season. But, Philly, they're in rebuild mode. They really are. They're trying to get things together. Giants, we're watching them. They got some things happening right now at training camp, though, that they kind of need to settle to hopefully be able to have some success.
I heard about that, too. That's just
it's some questions.
Hey, but football is back. We're officially on football eve. Tomorrow is that Hall of Fame game with the Steelers and the Cowboys. I mean, it's like we wait all year for this to happen, and it's like it went by so fast. It seems like it's been like, oh wow, it's football again. I can't believe it. So I'm excited. But I mean, and I think that's something that happens. You got football back, fans are back, fans are at training camp. They're excited. Tickets are flying off the roof for everything. And I think that's just kind of, I think these guys and their egos kind of getting, into it. And it's like you've got people there now that are watching you, and you kind of want to show off some stuff. So
exactly. But it's exciting. They'll tell you, having the fans back, the players really do feed off of that, right? And they're excited to finally be signing balls for kids and giving their cleats to kids. Like, again, there's nothing that, none of that fake crowd noise stuff can actually amplify to what it means to actually have people there, people screaming your name, people adoring you. And they love it. They really are trying to play this season for the fans because they know how much the fans miss being in the stands. And look, we love football in America. There's nothing like going to an NFL game. I remember when I went to my first one, and that's when I solidified that I needed to work in broadcast journalism, because I never wanted to leave that atmosphere. That's how special sporting events are.
Great experience.
Speaking of that, so what is one without being biased to where you live, do you have a favorite stadium, favorite arena, favorite ballpark as far as from all that you've experienced within media or just going to as a fan?
Yeah, of course. So I will tell you ballpark, and this might be me being biased, but I love Camden Yards. I mean, Camden Yards to me is it's everything that you could ask for baseball. I'll tell you for arena, and I'm sad Oracle is no longer going to be a thing, but I got to cover the NBA finals there. So Oracle has a special meaning to me. And when I tell you the fans in Oracle Arena were unlike anything I had ever experienced, it was unreal. So
they show up to games and wear the shirts on the seats. Unlike Laker fans, we'd have shirts in the seats. You're not seeing that. the Oracle, they put the shirts on.
Everyone had it on.
Yes. Everybody had it on.
No girl was trying to be cute like everyone.
No, they all put the shirt on.
it's just real. So I completely agree. Oracle is unlike just anything just ever imaginable. I'll tell you, for football stadiums, again, I think football stadiums, I feel like, are all great. You know, I'm kind of jealous of what the Jaguars have down there and all their kind of fancy amenities. I want to see the one in Vegas, so I'm actually excited to see the Raiders' new stadium because I've heard just so many positive and good things about it. But, you know, I will tell you. Exactly. But for football stadiums, I don't know. I feel like that one is the one I don't have a favorite one because I feel like there's a couple I kind of put in the front runners. But again, I heard the one in Vegas, though, will blow my socks off. But I will tell you what the Dallas Cowboys did, and that's why I kind of had them near the top of my list. That stadium is real, y'all.
It's like a whole, it's like a whole mall. I mean, it's just ridiculously huge.
I mean, I could live.
They have Wi-Fi in the parking lot. I mean, it's just like you can't beat. It's like everything you could ever want. It's Jerry's world. Jerry does what he wants.
Kanye shouldn't have went to State Farm Arena. I would have picked the Dallas Cowboy Stadium to be living and working on my album in because of that.
It definitely has the comforts for sure. Real quick, so question about the Washington football team, because I'm actually going to be going out to the Seattle Monday Night Football game.
Oh, nice. Exciting.
And I'm excited. It's my first time actually going to a game there in DC. But one of my other main reasons, because I know it's like the Washington football team was the last team to have a live band. Is the live band still there, though?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our live band, I will tell you, is something that the fans love and adore, and they are part of the tailgate experience. And so to my knowledge, again, with COVID, they're still going to have their section in the stands, which means so much to Washington fans. And of course, we had our old fight song that they would play that fans would get excited about. And it's just something special. And I'll tell you, if you've been to a Washington game, that band gets you going and you are just excited. So yeah, I hope they're still there for you. I'm excited you're coming to Washington. I'll tell you, so the stadium in Landover, Maryland, I mean, Landover is just like, when you go there, you're just going to experience just Washington will give you kind of the full salute. I love Washington tailgating. I think it's unparalleled to kind of some others. So Mel, you're going to have some fun. I'm excited.
I can't wait. I mean, definitely. I love DC. I used to go there a lot when I was a little bit younger, like post-college and college days. I had a lot of fun times in some of the nightclubs there. Some good times. My cousin, he went to Old Dominion, and now they all live out in Delaware. So we've got friends out there. I just see Becker's in our chat. Becker's out there in the DMV area as well. Nice. He says hello.
Oh, hi.
But you know, I think, I don't know if you have a second. I know that you also, you know, between the fit and the lifestyles kind of show that you have with Washington. You mentioned there's kind of some fashion as well as some sneakers. Me and Mo also like sneakers, and we always talk about some drops that are coming up. So we have a few drops coming up if you want to give us your input on these. But first, before we start, do you have a favorite sneaker yourself?
You know, that's a good question. It's so funny. So I'll tell you with the Washington football team show, this is why I love talking to the players, because I love hearing what their favorite sneakers are. And as the guys get younger, it's always more interesting to hear what their favorites are. Fun fact about me, sneaker culture, I got into late, all right, later in life, because growing up, my parents, we didn't have money like that to be dropping on sneakers. So I got to the game late. And it's so funny because I revealed to Jasmine Jordan in an interview, who of course is Michael Jordan's daughter, that I had never owned a pair of Jordans, and her mouth went, and so when I hosted the Fit Show, again, I think the guys keep me up to date on everything, which is great. But I think I'm a classic Jordan 1s. But I'll tell you again, I am so simple when it comes to sneaker culture, because again, I got on late, y'all. I wasn't fancy as a kid. I guess I was just doing whatever it did. But I mean, it's just kind of great to, again, just learn. Like, I mean, shoes are truly a part of these guys' lives. When we see their closets, it's unreal. I mean, it's
who has the best shoe collection that you've seen?
So I will tell you, and he's not with us, Morgan Moses. Oh my gosh, like his shoe collection was just unreal. Like unreal. Like you will just go home and just be like, you know, what am I doing with my life right now? I thought it was just amazing. You know, Thomas Davis also had a great one. But I love, you know, this is what I love about the guys. They're so open and just like, you know, letting us into an intimate part of their home. I thought it was just so special. And I think sometimes people, you know, when the show first started, I think some people that aren't into fashion were like, well, why would I care about it? But then now when they see how culture it's really a part of the players' lives. Like, you know, I mean, I talked with Chase Young, if you know the DMV area, he talked about how growing up, he loves New Balances. And New Balances have a special meaning in Prince George's County, Maryland. And so this is the part that you learn about these guys, right? So it kind of gives you more insight into their background. You know, I love when they talk about having their first pair of shoes. And now some of them still have shoes at their parents' house. And their parents are like, look, you got too many shoes. You're going to have to come and get these out the house. Like, I love those stories that are rebuilt on the fit. And this is why the fit is was fun talking with their tailors, talking with their designers. I mean, talking about the guys that design their cleats like before games, especially. I mean, it's special. And again, the guys put meaning into this and hope it resonates with fans. But I'll tell you, I'm jealous every time I see in their closet. I'm just like, where did I go wrong in life? I mean, this is how my closet needs to look, and it looks nothing like this.
I just need a team Nike rep. That's all I need. I just need a Nike rep to just.
You're watching.
I don't need every new release. Just give me like every 5th release. Like that's all I need. You know, that's all I need.
Yeah, just be nice to us, right? And I'll tell you too, something fun about the fit. So before, this is the first time I worked with the stylist, and it was right before the fit show. So again, just kind of getting into the element and getting into the mood of it. It was fun, you know, just kind of, and she had me try different things that I would have never tried. Remember what I said earlier in the show, stepping out of your comfort zone and kind of stepping into new things. And so that was also fun to work with the stylist before the first season of the fit. And so, yeah, it's been like, the players love it. They love letting us in. You know, I love somebody like Logan Thomas, who revealed his wife actually like helps to pick out his outfits and like really helps to dress him before a game. But this is the insight that you're getting. And again, it just helps you get to know the players better on and off the football field.
Well, Mo is our in-house stylist, and she gets to really fix up a couple of great guys out here in Las Vegas too.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, it's cool.
It's good.
It's work, but it's cool.
Me and Mo both missed out on the Travis Scott fragment highs.
Yeah,
the lows are coming out. Yeah, this is going to be on the 13th. So I know there's already people freaking out.
I like that.
I think the highs went for like resale like $5,000, Mo.
Wow,
it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was
crazy.
So much. Air Max also I think came out with these today, the Houndstooth, which I think is kind of cool for the ladies.
Yeah,
and also for the women that is coming out would be the Retro High OGs Seafoam. I'm not sure if I'm feeling these ones yet. I do like the orange and the green, but I just don't. I think I'm not a big pastels person.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the outfits I'd pair with it. I feel like we're
right. Now this one, I know a lot of the Steelers fans out there could be wanting. This is going to be the Retro High OG Pollen, which is going to be coming out August 12th. I know those Steeler fans will be.
That looks more like the Saints colors.
Saints, you think?
Saints too.
It doesn't look too bright of a yellow. It looks more of the gold, a softer gold undertone. At least that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
mustard more so.
I'd probably need to see them like in a live shot or someone with them on to really get the
I do like them.
And then I'm a big camo fan, so the Jumbo Black Multi Camo comes out August 18th. Yeah, those are not. I'm not a big low person, but these, I don't know. I love my camo, so I might have
you both. I like them. I love camo too. You can't go wrong in camo, right?
You really can't. You really can't.
Camo has been around for a very long time, and I thought it would be something that would probably be a pattern that went to die for fashion. And honestly, it's been elevated and changed, and the colorways and concepts that have been associated with camo, it's still been going. So it's trendy.
Yeah, there we go. You heard it from Mo.
It's definitely trendy. It's definitely trendy.
So, Kelsey, before we let you go, I thank you for staying with us almost the entire show. Like, this is amazing because we love it when we can the organic flow of conversation is great. But before we let you go, is there something that's happened within either football or a different sport in the last, we've had NBA trades, we've had MLB trade deadline, and the Cubs unleashing all of their players onto people. So much stuff has happened in the sports world. Is there something in particular that's completely shocked you, surprised you, or had you, mouth wide open, like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like my mouth has been doing that a lot lately, Mel, to be honest, because the NBA trade news and all that's been happening. I think, I've really been into the Olympics this year. And I will tell you, so Noah Lyles has ties to the Alexandria area here in the DMV. And when he pulled up right before he crossed that line in the 200 meters, my heart almost dropped because I really was like, oh my gosh, the world's fastest really might not be in the race. I think Noah gave us all a scare, but we're glad he's continuing on. And of course, we hope him the best. And I hope he's able to bring home gold. I think that was probably the biggest moment for me, but then all the trade news too. I think, Russell Westbrook, I think in Washington, we weren't preparing for him to be here long term, but then when that kind of news kind of started, I feel like everything, like when that news broke, it's like, what? Like, wait, what? And then in Washington, we were like, well, and the biggest thing was, we had already lost John Wall the season before, right? And John Wall was that guy in DC, and then Bradley Beal stepped up to the plate. But we've been saying, hey, Bradley needs help, even though he says everybody eats. Hey, to eat, you need some tools around you to make sure that you're able to eat. And so I think when we saw that happen in Washington, it was like, well, what's next? And in Washington, again, like, who's going to be that guy to help him hopefully get us some. I think that was the other one when I was just like, oh, of course my phone was blowing up like, Kelsey, did you see Russ is going to LA? And I'm just like, yes, I saw, and just how different, it's going to be. And then we had that conversation that Ted Leonsis has kind of started about loyalty and how we compared loyalty in the NBA to kind of the NHL and kind of the loyalty to other sports. And I'll tell you, in DC, we want people to be loyal. Like Gilbert Arenas was that guy for a while, right? Agent Zero. And then it was John Wall. And then that whole thing happened. Bradley Beal was here. But I will tell you, DC fans latched on to Russ. They loved Russell Westbrook. At first, a little rocky starting off, but then when we started to love him, then he was gone. So that was the other one.
It's tough. Yeah, I know in Vegas, they had our first heartbreak when our goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury, got traded this year. And it was a shock for everybody. And it's like, I think that was the thing for all these new sports fans. Are like, wait, why? I hate this team. I'm going to dump them. And it's like, no, this is kind of how sports goes. Unfortunately, you don't see it as much with these great, huge deals like in hockey, but you see them more, of course, in the NBA and NFL moving around. So, oh man, but
Lonzo, right, with the Bulls. I mean, there was just so many. NBA free agency in general has just been something,
and it's only been like 3 days. Like we haven't even got to a week of free agency.
We have so much more. Like literally, you just need time to digest everything happening in the NBA world. And I think that's why we love the NBA, right? There's just so many things that are happening and can happen, and we'll see some new teams next season, and I think we'll see some new contenders for the title next season, which makes it exciting.
For sure. Well, Kelsey, please tell everybody where they can follow you on your social media, also where your show can be found, YouTube or whatever, that we will appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. On social media, just The Real K Nelson. On Facebook, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. And just make sure you connect with me. My show, Listen It with KNN, is on all podcast platforms. So download it on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And also the live stream show you can check out on my YouTube channel, as well as my Facebook and Twitter pages. Again, tomorrow doing 2 shows. I hope everyone tunes in. We're starting off early. I know it'll be super early for y'all on the West Coast, but 9 a.m. Sharif Abdur-Rahim, NBA G League president, will be joining me live on the show.
Nice. Very good.
Super excited about that. We'll talk about NBA draft, the G League, and kind of what's next. And then tomorrow night, y'all, 6 p.m. before the Hall of Fame game, Stacey Elliott, Ezekiel Elliott's dad, as well as Sean Allen, Marcus Allen's dad. So I have a Cowboys parent and a Steelers parent. They'll actually be joining me live from Canton. So super excited about that.
That's amazing.
A restaurant in DC. It's going to be so much fun. So you won't want to miss it. So I hope everyone tunes in. So again, join my show. I promise you, I have some great guests coming up, and also I'll be dropping my audio show tomorrow with Don Harper Nelson. So also check that out as we talk all things Olympics. So I hope everyone gets to tune in.
I love it.
Very cool. Yes. Very cool.
I can't wait.
It's been a pleasure. This is the ultimate Black Girl Magic. I want to dedicate more power to you tonight for the show.
Thank you.
You are amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. I didn't even get a chance to ask you what your end game was, but that's for another time. We're going to have you back again.
We'll get you back. We'll get you back. Maybe once we know how well the Washington football team is going, we'll definitely get you back on.
We definitely have to get you back on. Yes.
I appreciate you all so much. Again, just keep up the great work. And you all are just a true testament to why, we have so many amazing women in sports, and you all kind of help feed me. You all are my inspiration, and just I'm so thankful to have this platform.
Same, right back at you.
Yeah, and thanks for helping this hour of my night be fun. See, you talk about this is it. I love having organic conversations.
And this is what we do. This is what we, it's like that's what we started the show, is be able to talk with girls about sports. Like, why not? How could you love that?
I love it. And we know sports. And yes, fellas, we can challenge you on it too.
Absolutely.
You heard it here first.
Thank you again so much.
Thank you so much,
Get
Kelsey.
some rest if you can, and we'll definitely check in with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks so much, you all.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Bye. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was amazing. She's great.
So great.
Yes,
so great.
Very great. I know it was late out there. She's just full of energy and just.
And then she's got the show again at 9.
Yeah, but then you see the passion in what she does and how much she loves it, and she really truly enjoys it. And she's just got so many hats. So I would have loved to have found out what the future holds for her, what her future
we'll get her
goals
back on.
are.
We'll definitely
have to get her back on. Yeah.
That's gonna have to be the for sure.
Thank you for everybody tuning in too.
Yeah.
We had a great,
and
great
sorry, when we
combo
have
for
our
them.
great guests, it's hard for me to keep flopping through comments, but thank you for everyone that's tuned in, everybody
Yeah.
that's shared it, everybody that's commented, people that are sending us messages, even though they know we have a live podcast talking about the show.
Hey,
So
I was able to respond to that too. I was trying to do all the things at once. So thank you so much, and yeah.
Before we go though, there was a couple of things I also had wanted to share. One of which, of course, I had to bring my Seahawks into it. Little Win Wilson took his first steps today during training camp. How cute is that?
Yes, very cute.
I mean,
he's
that's
cutie.
Just perfect. He is.
I mean,
it's both their kids are beautiful. I mean,
just a beautiful family altogether.
Really beautiful. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
They also, Tom Brady, Natalie's future ex-husband.
Yeah, he had a birthday. Right?
Yeah, 44. Someone especially made him. Remember his tweet from Super Bowl when he was a little tipsy or very, very tipsy?
So made him
did the little avocado tequila. Yeah. They did it the exact same way, had the whole hat backwards and everything. That was hilarious.
I love it. That's fantastic.
It was great. Now, you had brought this up because I wanted to talk about this.
Oh yeah.
Tell me the price tag for these Dolce & Gabbana.
Okay, so that's the Dolce
quote unquote
sunglasses. They are sunglasses. That is what we're calling them. The retail form is $561. It's a face shield. It's a face shield.
I don't see sunglasses in it.
I mean, it's sunglasses because you got the bridge and everything. And yes, and if you look at the arms of the glasses, they are the shape and design of a sunglass concept. The tint on the lens is definitely a sunglass concept. I get that. We're calling them sunglasses. That's fine.
I mean, I bought something similar to this for $20 at Nordstrom
I got
Rack.
a couple of them that are iridescent for $25. My thing is this. $561 is very egregious to me to pay. Egregious. It's kind of one of those things. I can see at $300. And that's
$299,
Now $300 is good. I'd say $299, yeah. But it's Dolce & Gabbana, so I'm not even. Yeah, I've seen far worse things that are.
There's going to be a lot more of these coming out, especially with masks being, masks popping up all over again, then the requirements to wearing masks again. So this may be a version for most.
I mean, if you're going to make a statement with a face shield and you want to be designered out, I guess this is the way to go. That's all I can say.
I get that's kind of how it has to be.
Yes, exactly. It's just what it is. So, Dolce & Gabbana, what are you going to do? I'm not paying it. If somebody is willing to pay that for me, I'd rather tell you where my $500 could go on a better bag or something. But I don't.
My $500 going to be on a trip to the beach.
You can't travel right now, Mel. It's COVID. I mean, save it for that later.
I'm vaccinated. I'm being healthy. I mean, I'm vaccinated, masked up. Like I'm bringing all the Clorox wipes. I'm locking everything down. Listen. I'll be outdoors.
And here's the thing, even with that, they're saying even with the vax, they don't even know how long our doses are lasting. We went February, March, so 3 months. So everybody still has to be out there protecting themselves.
But I mean, it's kind of like, my dogs get shots every year. It's going to be the same thing at some point.
I feel it is. But you got to do what you got to do for the price of humanity. I feel like.
For sure.
But if you're going to make a statement with that shield, I guess Dolce & Gabbana really did that with it. I'm sure other designers have come out with shields like that, but. Yeah,
I don't know. The Olympics, I've been catching it. It's been like my background music for almost everything that I do during the day.
Right.
Shout out huge to the women's basketball team. They killed Australia last night, 79-55. Stewie had 20 points in the first half.
Brianna Stewart is that girl, though.
Listen, I'm just like,
and there was no Liz Cambage, not to discredit what USA team is doing, but there was no Liz for the girls in Australia. Now we know why, and that's great, and that's fine. I hope she is actually 100% when we go back into the season. But yeah, the whole squad is a beast. The whole squad. Well,
and it is, and not to. So I was looking up some stats. So I was like, Asia's been ridiculous. She's been off kilter. Yeah. She's been crazy. This woman. So out of the entire women's basketball players that are playing in the Olympics, as of yesterday, she is ranked 3rd in scoring. The next USA player on that list is Brianna Stewart, number 10. Okay.
Yeah.
She's also ranked 4th in rebounding. Stewart is number 2. This is out of all players playing in the Olympics. She's also ranked 3rd in field goal percentage. Greiner was number 2. And she's also third in block shots. Griner
That's
was
what
number
a
9.
USA
Here's the
team
deal.
needs to be. That's how they should be, men's. That's how
third
it
in
should
blocks, and Griner's number 9. How is this?
That's how it should be, men's USA team. The women having to show you. See, now the women are having to again lay the groundwork to show you guys how it needs to be done.
Just to show you. Not to mention, the women actually have to leave Tokyo after this is all over and go back to playing
and go back
series.
into their season of WNBA, and they will ball out there too.
And the men just get to go home and relax until season.
Well, until September. And then the thing of it is this is what our USA team's supposed to do. This is our expectation we met. And I need everybody to get behind and rally behind our girls because they are bringing it. And they're going to get a gold medal. Come on.
Now, not to discredit the men, although they did lose their first game. They also were, so both the men's and women's teams are going to the semifinals.
That's good.
I know the women play on Friday, and I'm not sure when the men's game is, but they played Spain on Monday. They played them on, or was it Sunday? My days are mixed up. But Ricky Rubio had 38 points for Spain. 38. Wow. I think it's ridiculous. Also, congratulations to women's gymnastics. Simone Biles came back, did the balance beam, got the bronze. I mean, still did phenomenal. She showed up. She put it to the test. She came back with another medal. Suni Lee wins gold in the all-individual all-around, which is, hey, if Simone can't do it, let's go. Let's go. Jade Carey wins gold in the floor routine. I mean, these women all stepped up and really played hard.
They did.
Oh, thanks, Miss Bolandi. So men played tonight at 12:15 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Good note. Yeah. The one disappointment that I've heard a lot. So the U.S. women's national soccer team loses to Canada 1-0. They are out of gold medal contention. Right. They really wanted that because they couldn't get it last time.
Right.
I guess there's a chance at bronze, but it's kind of like you're so hyped to be able to get this gold, and it's kind of like,
yeah.
It
was devastating for them because they've never lost to Canada.
No,
and that's the thing; they don't lose to Canada, and the fact that
they don't really lose ever.
They don't.
It's a bit much. Yeah. It's hard to take in. That's for sure.
Yeah, but we keep watching. We keep supporting those ladies. We know they're the truth, and we know that other competitors are just coming for us big time, and so they're showing up.
This 19-year-old, I think it's Athing Mu. She's the first woman to win the 800 meters since 1968.
Yeah.
19 years old, got the gold.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I can. Told you I already have breathing issues. I couldn't even imagine when our guest was talking without taking a breath, let alone
I can't listen. I'd be like
strokes and everything else. I mean, I never had an inhaler in my life, but I would at that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And not for nothing right now. My Dodgers are winning 7-2, bottom of the 4th. Let's go, boys in blue. They are trying to make up for what we had last time, which was a clear miss. Couldn't even score for nothing. But our bats are warm tonight, fellas. Bats are warm. Let's go. Keep going. I'm all about it.
You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going.
Yes, you do.
A couple of things real quick, because for our Las Vegas local community, I was super excited. I went last Tuesday. I forgot to talk about last week. I went to the Lights game. Another, phenomenal matches. They actually won. I don't know if I'm a good luck charm, but they won at home. They were just great. The atmosphere is just as great as we remembered it. But they have some specials coming up. They've got
$10 on Saturday, right?
Yeah, and a free ticket for teachers. All you gotta do is show your school employee ID, free ticket at the box office. So Saturday is back to school night. We're getting everybody ready because of Monday out here in Las Vegas is the first day back in school for everybody in school, which is going to be a little different this year, but that's going to be interesting. They also on August 21st pause on the pitch, so you can bring your dogs or your well-behaved dogs, and you get to be on the pitch. They're going to have a doggy Olympics.
Well, that means Tilly ain't going then.
Hey, listen, Tilly is behaved. She behaves. She's worked. She's fine.
Okay.
She could be there. The 27th, just so you know, the Raiders night. So just like we did the Vegas Golden Knights night before, they're going to have a red and silver jersey that's for the Raiders. So $99 gets you a ticket and a jersey.
Nice.
And then the big, well-known, famous cash drop is happening. The 5,000 cash drop is happening on halftime.
The money grab is back, you guys. The money grab.
Listen,
the big
talk
time
about
money grab
raining money. Talk about
Making it
make it
rain, the
rain.
big money grab, you guys. The big
It's
money
big
grab.
time. Big time.
No whammies, big money grab.
And so not to leave the dogs out, of course, the aviators have Mutt Mondays. So starting the August 9th, they're going to have 4 different Monday games where doggy tickets are $2 and they benefit the Las Vegas Animal Foundation. And they'll even have a specific entrance called the doggy door. So
that's cute.
All those dog lovers, it's in Summerlin, so I'm sure all the little Summerlin dog families will be out there to check it.
Will House of Paws be there?
We'll have to get House of Paws involved. House of Paws.
Yeah, you will.
I'm gonna have to get Tilly to go. Tilly's gonna go to the game. She's gonna have like a sports weekend, and I'm just gonna make her do it. That's just all it is. She can wear her jewelry necklace. Little zap here, there.
She get it from House of Paws. Where'd she get it? Where'd she get her Cuban link from?
She got it from Amazon because it gives her a little zap if she needs it.
Gotcha.
I got the remote here just in case she she only wears it during podcast evenings just in case, but she's very good with it now. So,
See, that's why she can't go to Paws on the pitch in a natural environment.
She can tell, but it's because I don't want her to bark during the show. We've already had that issue, right? Her thing is that there goes Mo. I know we're way over time. I don't even know how I lasted this long without her. So with that being said, I'll just say a sayonara to everybody. Continue to watch the Olympics, support our women in sports. Thank you again to Kelsey Nicole Nelson for hanging out with us for almost the entire show. We appreciate you. Make sure you check out our shows tomorrow. She's got some great stuff happening for the Hall of Fame game. And guess what, guys? Football is back. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll be back here next week, same time, same channel. And we hope you guys have a great week. Bye.